Unpack
Blog
session
Talk
and
Radio.
our level of a self-love Unpack. Let's talk about it. Because here's the thing. This is the After Dark show, and I like to make sure that we do Unpack sessions with the actual show itself, and so that we can actually make sure that we unpack it in a manner that needs to be done. So with that being said, I want you guys to understand it's After Dark, and we're going to make sure that everybody gets a hold of how the shows are going, and abusive energy and vampires who will cause a level and layer of you not to love yourself. So with that being said, let's get into it with the session, and I hope that you guys like it. I'm going to make it short and sweet, but I want to make sure that I do some things that need to be done. All right. So, like I told you guys, we have to learn how to self-love first. So in this session that we did is a level and layer of understanding the self, okay? So tomorrow our session is going to be on building self-love. But the main thing that we have to do is learn what love is first. So that's why we have the whole entire thing about the dark side of yourself. And then on top of that, a level layer of how we go all about the shadow self, former self, and our real true self. So, like I told you, that self-love and the shadow work that has to be done, and then the light work that has to be done, and then on top of that, the levels and layers of foundation that you have to build in order to get back to your real, true, authentic self, okay? So we also have a series at Don Diva Coaching, IMCC Coaching, and that series is actually for you guys to be able to do a level and layer of going and getting these seminars and doing the adequate work that has to be done at Don Diva Coaching, IMCC Coaching, teamworld.online, or at level of imcc.com for specialty appointments. So like I told you guys, I have spent a lot of time working on this business and this business model. I became a life coach, wellness coach in 2016. I completed my certifications, and then on top of that, I'm going towards my international certification so that I'll be able to do it international, although I've already got the qualifications to do it international, but I want the recognition. So outside of that, to achieve different things. But in that, I want to make sure that you guys see things authentically and the growth that I've had to do outside of the shadow self and going back to the real, true, illuminated self. The inner light worker, light seeker, and level of natural light that I was born with. But also in that is to help understand about attributes that are viewed as favorable in our current society to learn how to get past hardship. We cannot get away from life being different. We can't get away from life being altered. We can't get away from life-altering events and people who create it. Because there are a lot of people in this world who are otherwise what we call broken, okay? We have a lot of people in this world who are, if you look at your head, back, knees, and shoulders, correct? You look at this, you look at this, and you look at a person who is literally a broken individual. Not me, but it's understood you. Kind of like we're dealing with the tormenting, gaslighting, provoking, bullying, and harassment that I have to deal with Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube Super Chats, people who have been doing those things, who will be held to account for all their antics and buffoonery. Because when we think about the self-love, you have to self-love yourself to make boundaries and put them out there. Because there's some people who, regardless of if we do a shadow side of light work, light seeking, and work, there are people who are poisonous, have poisonous tribe members amongst their ranks, and there are people who do just not operate in order. They operate on their own agenda, their own out-of-order agenda that makes it hard for those of us who align with a level of natural light we're born with, whether you're male, female, cisgendered female, or cisgendered male, or whatever in between that you identify as, including up to the trans community. And again, I embrace everybody in all communities, all walks of life. It doesn't matter about your sexual preference or who you like, who you love. Love is love, and that's what love is, heart. So with that being said, it's just like a poisonous, noxious, just level of odious people who will sit there and do things to you to damage you over a period of time and take you away from what you're naturally programmed with. Your natural illuminated light, your natural DNA, that's what I call it. And then it's Christos, which is what you're born with, your illuminated light, your DNA, everything that you're born with that we all get away from in the levels and depths of over time in life in a series of unfortunate events that shape our mindset, or reprogram us to another frequency that we weren't born with. So understand what I mean by frequency. I mean chakra energy and levels of mannerisms, behavioralism, and how we operate in life or respond to life. So when we talked about Carl Jung in this, we talked about levels and depths of our own shadow and the shadow work we have to do to shed some light on the darkness within, and then the aftermath of the darkness of what we endure. So when we talk about a level and depth of collectively understanding that, it is frightening. It is very frightening to look internal to the self and sit there and look at the dark side of us. It's almost like a Star Wars within ourselves. It's almost the return of the Sith, and we're thinking about the levels. Y'all, I watched it enough with an ex of mine who made me watch Star Wars, and I hate Star Wars with a passion. But it helped me learn one thing. Anakin, Luke Skywalker, had to sit there and learn what the dark side of himself versus his light side. And if you think about Star Wars and how that worked out, and you look at how a person has to look at, Darth Vader didn't start out like that, right? Darth Vader started out a decent person, but something made him go dark, right? It's the same thing with all of us, right? We all are harmless creatures in the beginning. We're born innocent. We become more programmed to non-innocence with our life experiences. So with that being said, we literally get to a point that we go beyond this, our real, true, programmatic self that we were programmed with, our DNA, our chakras, our energies that we were born with, and then we get exposed to environmental output, input, okay? So think about what I'm saying. If you're in a torturous environment or a miserable marriage or a toxic relationship or a toxic work environment or a toxic neighborhood, toxic family, toxic marriage, what does that say to you guys? So as I'm holding myself like this, and you watch me do this, one hand over here, one hand over here, I'm beginning to show you, when you're in a toxic environment, poisonous marriage, poisonous relationship, what happens? You change. You change so much in who you are to the point that it gets to a contention. You begin to realize how far that life has changed you. How far that you changed from a creature of being innocent with a natural light to a creature who has to accept the darkness of life. You have to accept the levels of how things change, how you change as a person, and how others have changed us. And then on top of that, we think about the levels and layers of how we go to the dark side sometimes, how we have to ET phone home and come back to normal. So when we talk about these different things, we're talking about layers of the self. We're talking about a level and layer of it can happen to us in a marriage, a work environment, or if you're work from home and you're dealing with COVID and you're dealing with toxic things outside of your home that are inflicting a level of degradation and toxic feelings or emotions or bringing out a dark side of you that you normally don't have. So that's what I meant by a level of self-love, part 3, our seminar on toxic energy and abusive energy vampires, and those that don't follow the light, and they like to fear-monger. And when they tell you in life, what I mean by they is people, light workers, light seekers, or people who are your mentors, ascendant masters in life, be it your mother, be it your cousins, be it your family, or be it your job. You learn a level of illuminated light. You learn a level of finding your light within the darkness within yourself, and you shed that Christos, that I am, that illuminated one within. So not only do you begin to look within, you begin to look at yourself, the former self, and you begin to look at who you are versus who I am. You think about the toxic energy. You think about abusive vampires. You think about people who are abusive mentally, emotionally, who get off on tormenting you, gaslighting, provoking, humiliating, harassing. That happens to all of us, the best of us, okay? So when we think about all of that, we think about how we have to get our energy and shape-shift it from a dark energy to a light one. So I want you guys to understand it from my point of view. I want you guys to understand it in the Unpack session, and I wanted to get straight into it in the nitty-gritty and nuts and bolts of it. So we could talk about tomorrow. So part of tomorrow is that we're going to talk about how to work things out. how we work things out is that we have to look at the dynamic system of energy vampires. We have to look at the toxic energy that they carry. We have to look at the levels and depths of people who operate under the guise of light, and they're not really light workers or light seekers. They create toxicity and they create dark energy. So with that happens in life. We think about everyday life. There's always somebody who wants to do certain things their way and make things hard for others. So when we're talking about a level and layer of finding and eliminating light and finding a level and layer of how to fix that, how to go to the light self instead of the former self, we have to find a way to build our energy back from being depleted with someone like that. So as I was saying, a lot of the times we have to begin to look within the self, and we have to look within others and then see what we can mirror, and good behaviors, light behaviors, behaviors that work towards helping build us on a foundation of bricks that are thrown at us in life. That includes up to a bad marriage, bad dating relationship, or a toxic energy within other people. And we have to figure out, do we mirror those same energies in response to how we conduct ourselves? It's hard, easier said than done, but it means we have to look at the dark side and we have to look at the other sides of things too. So with that being said, I wanted to make sure we do everything that we could possibly do to bring you a good show. And then on top of that, finding a way to go and get past those different things and build along the foundation of bricks that get thrown at us and those that create that type of energy. So with that being said, this After Dark self-love thing is to let you know about the dark side, the light side, and what we were talking about in the collective of the presentation earlier. So with that being said, we have to look at things that are worth monitoring. We have to look at the things that are worth mentioning. We have to look at the law of attraction and the things that we have studied. So in order to go far over it too much, we have to learn how to heal from pain that we get inflicted in life and those that we inflict on ourselves sometimes and how we respond to life. And I will tell you something about that. In psychiatry, psychology, and learning from the patient's point of view versus being the person who does provide the professional services, I will tell you something. You have to be okay with looking inside of yourself. You have to be okay with looking at your former self, do the shadow work, the light work, and then on top of that, to look at the state of the physical reality of what you're going through, and then on top of that, investigate the theories of what the versus who I am and who I was. And then you have to be able to be willing to let go of who I was to get to who I am. And I'm going to tell you something. We all have to do this type of work. Not everybody's ready to do that work. So we can't always push everyone to do the same amount of work. But if you're ready to do that and complete those tasks, we have to look at the theory that comes along with it. And the theory comes back into practical experience, life experiences, and life growth, self-growth, and then growth after pain, or growth after suffering, or growth after life-altering events. So with that being said, I want you guys to understand when you text 866-727-9323 or 404-418-5104 and our Unpack sessions after dark, or you go and call us in live at 515-602-9765. I want you guys to understand that we're doing interactive therapy and also talk therapy online, so that we can all learn how to embrace mental health, behavioral health, and then on top of that, a collective unconscious level of bringing ourselves into the light and a level of order that we were born with, which means that our DNA gets altered over time. Our programmatic, our schematics that we were born with become a little more skewed after life gives us a series of lemons, and we have to make lemonade out of sugar on the ice. So we have to think about all these things in our collective unconsciousness to become more conscious of that and awaken our light that was there. It's just been dimmed. And then on top of that, sometimes our light ends up a little bit shadowed from a level of toxicity in our life, from inputs, outputs, and things in our environment. So those are tools for introspection, and then on top of that, objectivity, subjectivity, and it's harmless in nature once you begin to learn how to master mirroring and that level of development and the growth model that I talked about weeks ago. It's our level of depth of perception on how we're going to respond, and then on top of that, we have to mitigate the levels of things that are causing the response. So those are things that if you hate a person, you hate something in him or a part of yourself that you've seen in your former self or something you've seen that you don't like. So what isn't part of ourselves doesn't disturb us. So when I tell you guys there are people who disturb me, it's because there are some toxic behaviors I might have had, and I address all those things and move past it. Therefore, they irritate me. They get under my skin, and I'm like, why are you like this? Your behaviors are not of growth. They are of a level of you haven't grown yet, and you're starting to frustrate me. So when we think about this, a German author, Hermann Hesse, wrote, if you hate a person, you hate something in the past part of yourself. If you hate a person, you hate a part of yourself that you used to have. So what isn't part of itself doesn't disturb us. So a lot of things don't disturb me, but some things do, because there may have been something that was mirrored in my life that I experienced with someone else, and then I realized I don't like it. So it disturbs me. So you're therefore disturbing my peace. You're disturbing my level of Christos, illuminated one within myself that was born with, Dies in Christum, and you're starting to go to a point of contention to irritate my soul with your presence or things of brokenness that you have not yet addressed. So that is a point of a level of, again, this is reflected in the law of attraction. So I wanted to go over all these different things. So we judge or condemn what others, or we criticize things that we have yet to improve or have improved upon, and we've moved past that. That's why I no longer sit in a judgment zone. I live in a judgment-free zone and go from a place of enlightenment and understanding their energy. And if their energy is poisonous, I remove myself, because not everybody is ready. So we think about this. We have no excuse for he who passed judgment on someone else. For whatever point you judge another, you are judging and condemning yourself. So that's why I live in a judgment-free zone. And that's from Romans 2:1 that we talked about. And then do not judge, or you shall be judged. That's Matthew 7:1. So that moves us into tomorrow's seminar, which is building self-love. If you want to build up self-love, we think about the first thing you have to do is purification. That means purging ourselves of anything that is dimming our light or dimming what we've been programmed with as a baby and gotten away from after life experiences or series of unfortunate events. In my case, it's been a lot of deadly, homicidal, disgusting, miserable, disturbing the peace, low vibrational events that have changed me as a person. Now, whether I've changed for the better, that is one thing I can say I've changed for the better. And then on top of that, I've become more enlightened. And then on top of that, I've become more calm and the majesty of being calm in most instances. Now, the instances you saw yesterday was a level and layer of degradation, torment, bullying, and harassment from the same individual who needs to be rounded up and put in a court and then fired from his job and terminated because his harassment is affecting my businesses. His harassment and several others, including women, men, and some trans who are involved. I don't hate trans. I hate a certain one who likes to play these nasty games because they're related to that situation with my ex and his father and his mother who keep this mess up. And then on top of that, an acquaintance who keeps this up, and then other people who just enable that acquaintance. So it's multi-perpetrator, multi-levels of that. So the reality of most is that people have picked up a lot of wild and irrational reactionary beliefs, reactive abuse syndrome, or a level of toxic abuse syndrome, and a gross level of response to irrational, wild beliefs that someone is creating towards you to cause you a level of self-sabotage or self-esteem or self-degradation of your self-esteem or self-efficacy or of creating a level of imposter syndrome. So you begin to lose your values and your attitudes and your ideals that you're programmed with, your Christos, your illuminated light that you're born with, your chakra, your pineal gland, the things that you're programmed with, your CPU, your brain. So it creates a level of attitudes that are not real of yourself, your true self, not your shadow self that people may see. And the toxins in the body in an unclean environment. And what I mean by unclean environment means a level of toxic environment, toxic people, and then on top of that, a level of, like example, a AC vent that's tampered with, sitting on a computer and being tampered with, just like a computer being tampered with that Randy did on the hard disk drive, and then things like that. And I want a lawsuit against him, and then I want him fired and terminated from his job. Mitchell Taubman, the same thing, and Antonio 3D Cannon, and Clarity, and Queen Audubon, and several others who were involved, including up to Ivy Truck and Council 22. Because the levels of mimic abusive behavior and Ranger T6, who has the same background as my ex, there's a level of things you don't do. There's a level of things you don't do and provoke and gaslight someone to act in a manner that they don't normally act. That's why you saw me so nuclear upset. You saw me in a level of behavior that I don't normally have. But because I've dealt with this so long, and I've dealt with the egregious levels of crossing the line, boundaries, and things like that, and I have enough self-love to stand up for myself, it makes me look angry and upset and irrational versus them doing self-sabotage and manufactured agents of provocateur or levels of degradation, humiliation, and torment, unnecessary, egregious levels of damages to my business and presentations, that it's becoming to a point that we're going to have to go to court because they won't stop and they won't quit. And as you saw the person say, I'm not going to quit, you need to delete your account, I'm not going to delete it. You're just mad because evidence proving all of the abusive and egregious levels of those that were at the companies and corporations that got found out to be unethical, out of order, and trifling, abusive, and divisive. And due to my Fed acts and his antics and whatnot, it shed light on their antics. Now they're all mad because they participated and were told lies, and they believed it. Now they're mad because they have to have accountability, which is a part of order and life. All the things that we were born with and told and things like that as we were taught growing up. So when we think about this, order's been around all our lives, and we're all programmed with that level of order and understanding. So when I took an oath to protect against enemies, foreign and domestic, as a patriot and as a mother, and also as a life coach, wellness coach, health coach, divorce coach, that grossly pissed me off and made me mad that others were sitting up there doing things, but they're sitting up here benefiting from it. So anybody in their right mind would be upset over the egregious levels of misconduct, gross misconduct, medical misdiagnosis, misdocumentation, and gross levels of misdocuments at the police department, sheriff's department, and then also at the levels levels of DC and House and things like that when I reported it to the House, or when I tried to call for lawyers and the denials of lawyers, when I gave them examples and they still did that. It's still the LDS or Black Lives Matter when I called them. So when I've gone through every chain of command, there you have no choice but to show your royal behind, right? So at that point, I had to show my behind and show people I'm not going to keep going through this. Civil disobedience had to be done. So the levels of hate, level of violations, and then on civil rights violations, I got the civil rights paperwork from the Department of Justice, and I told you, shout out to the Department of Justice and the Skin County Sheriff's Department, and then on top of that, Skin County City Police Department for realizing the errors and starting to sit there and link these things up and seeing what was going on and saying, hey, she's in trouble. She didn't do this. Let me go and fix this document. Let me go and update this. Something's wrong for real, for real. We don't have the teaching or understanding, and we need more training. So therefore, we need to fix this. So it got reported. That's how I ended up with paperwork. Then on top of that, I reported it because it was affecting my life. It was affecting my presentation. It was affecting my branding. I took a risk documenting all this stuff in the last 2 to 3 years so that everybody could see what I was going through, so that the person and persons who are not who they supposed to be, they interview well, everybody could see what they were doing. And continually to do this for the last 10 years, overlapping 15 years, overlapping 12 years of intimate partner violence, and then 10 years of levels of intimate partner violence, emotional violence, and then on top of that, levels of familial violence and things like that. I'm not saying my immediate family, but extended family, and those that know that they did this. They benefited from it, but they don't want the accountability that you lied, and you lied on me. And like as God said, and what we talked about in Romans, you judged me based on what somebody lied to you and told you. You judged me and you acted against me against what somebody told you versus the truth. The truth would have destroyed their life. So when we think about this, this is what people do when you're telling the truth. They crazy make you, and they call you all kind of nuts and crazy when you're not. And I showed that I wasn't, and I showed you a stack of paperwork, and y'all saw when I pointed out all the errors and all the omissions that they did. So when we talk about levels of this, and we have to purify ourselves, we have to talk about all the dark things in order for a lot of the physical toxins and our environmental toxins and environmental domestic terrorism that was done to me, emotional abuse, torment, gaslight, so that I could begin to improve my argument, to begin to feel safer in a toxic environment, that I can't leave until COVID's over. So y'all understand that levels of being desperate in a place I don't want to be at, added to that, and changed my attitude. And then on top of that, the levels of egregious transgressions against and being provoked and gaslit on social media, humiliation, degradation, tormenting, gaslighting, emotional abuse, and torment, it caused me to act otherwise than what I normally do, which is a peaceful person. Nobody's ever seen me this mad. Nobody's ever seen me that nuclear upset, cussing and fussing before, because I don't normally do that. The only person who could get me mad like that was my mother, because she knew how to get underneath my skin and pissed me the holy hell off. But me and my mother have moved past that. She's my hardest teacher, but she's also my best teacher. She didn't let me fall behind. She didn't let an Asperger's syndrome, high-functioning, tested gifted at 8 child fall behind. She didn't let my autism stop me from being somebody. So she's every bit of a teacher and an excellent one. She pisses me the god darn hell off, but that's still my dude. But she shed some light on how I have to learn certain things. So when she's gone one day, and she's no longer here to protect me, I can protect myself. Love myself so much. And remember what she taught me sitting in that mirror. What she taught my sister. I am somebody. I am beautiful. I am black girl magic. I am light. I am order. I am illuminated. Christos. Illuminated. I was born like this. There's nothing wrong with loving myself and loving others. But loving others doesn't give them a reason to sit there figure skate on me and provoke and gaslight in the manners that they have or aggress against. So when we talk about these different things, we got to talk about it in a sense of understanding and not getting overwhelmed with it. And it can cause a lot of damage. So when we talk about purification, we're going to talk about this tomorrow. I wanted to make this live, this after dark, real short, real sweet, so I can go take care of myself, self-love. A level of light is self-love, self-care. So being able to understand that means feeding myself, cooking my dinner, taking some time off, sitting back and doing a scratch and sniff, like Al Bundy, sit on the couch or sit on my bed and chill out and have an Al Bundy moment as a female and just say, let's rock and chill. That's the best thing I can do. So I want you guys to understand how to have those moments, to recognize when, hey, don't pull that. I'm going to relax. I'm going to take care of myself before I take care of anybody else. Because, see, one thing about my baby, she says I'm light on something I've been doing. I take care of everybody but me. I love everybody but myself. She says this over here now. Mommy, you don't ever talk. Mommy, you don't ever discuss anything that's hurting you. Why? I was like, I don't want to put that on you. She's like, but don't you realize you got family? You should be able to talk to me. It's like, I just never have been a talker. That's what I call selective mute. I've always been like that. My sister's the same way. Except for I have it worse than she does. Because I literally am selective mute. When I'm mad and upset, I don't want to talk because I don't know how to do it correctly. After so much damage, psychological damage, I don't know how to do it. So I just sit down and I'm like, I can't say anything nice about the same thing at all. But I'm learning now how to exude a level of communication. In fact, the communication skills, not beep, 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 you got me messed up, beep, beep, beep. But I had to learn how to undo what we call toxic survival mode mechanism to keep myself together, to preserve my self-respect, my dignity, and my levels of self-love that I already had, so I wouldn't lose myself. So a level of meditation and prayer is what I've had to do. And then on top of that, neutralize my environment. And a level of sometimes being silent. Allowing everything to prove itself. Or sometimes not even responding. Although sometimes I want to bark. I had to learn to get to that point. So that I would not lose everything because people want me to lose everything. People want me to see unstable, upset, and angry for no reason. Whereas I have a righteous reason for the levels of upset. But you're not going to take me down through it and then ruin my career, ruin every bit of hard work that I've done from the foundation of bricks that have been thrown at me. I'm taking each layer of bricks, every level, toxic shame, toxic blame, victim shaming, and I'm taking every last one of those bricks that you're putting, and I'm putting those foundations right there so I can stand on top of that smallest brick on that pyramid, being behaviorally healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy foundation of Christos, and becoming more illuminated in my natural light, my natural form, not the shadow self that I had become in order to survive. So there's a song by Rosie Rothschild that I love. It's called Survive. I want you guys to hear the song because it helps me get through things. And there's a couple of songs that he has that I love on his Only Child album on Apple. Let me see if I can find it. Because I'm going to tell you something. I met this young man in 2017. And one thing about it, he's one of the people that helped me get out of the funk that I was in. And although y'all have heard me cuss at that, it's because I consider him family. He's checked on me when nobody else did. He reached out to me when nobody else gave a crap. He looked in on me and said, hey, you good? I didn't want to tell him that I'm embarrassed that I got a bunch of crap going on. I didn't even want to manage some of this stuff because I was so embarrassed I was going to embarrass him. So I separated because I felt it was better for me to do. because I didn't want his business and his brand to be harmed because of what I was going through. It was embarrassing and humiliating. I just now told him after 2 years that I was embarrassed and humiliated. It took that long for me to go and communicate with them effectively that I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off people affected our business acquaintanceship. Thought that people sat there and hurt me and harmed me, and then they was going overseas, and then somehow or other they were telling you things about me that you shouldn't even know. I don't live there anymore. So when that happened, it made me feel so embarrassed because I looked up to him as a person, as a businessman, because this man is a mover and shaker, gets things done. And the mirror of his positive energy that I like, not the ones I don't like, I wanted to be able to be like that, but be somebody outside of living in someone else's shadow. I didn't want to steal his vibe. I wanted to go and learn the things that he was teaching me, to get up, keep moving. Don't get and sink down into any depression. Get up. Because he shared things with me that I won't talk about, and it's none of y'all's business. And nobody's ever going to find out. Because the respect that I really wanted other people to give to me, that they did to me, to go to him and talk about my personal life to him, I don't appreciate. Everybody, even high-powered people, literally go through things. He helped me to understand that. And when I tell you I thank him, although I don't know if the time is in my life, I don't know if we'll ever be able to get past what happened. I don't really care at this point. All I care about is the journey. So I wanted to play you guys the song Survive, because I absolutely adore the song. And it's one of my favorite ones that I ever listened to by him. He's a good artist. He has a company called Big Condo. And he's really good at artist management. I really enjoyed the time that I got to know him. He's in the UK, but he raps like a whole entire English-speaking, good United States citizen. And I really wish the Rothschilds would be coming over to the United States and establish here. But I digress. I don't have to be up under you to be your friend. I don't have to be around you to be your biggest fan. I'm not a stan, I'm just a fan. Here it is. Y'all are going to love it. It's on his only child album, EP. He's got a beautiful set of songs on there. I want you guys to listen to it. It's this song. It's his album EP. Pick it up on Apple, Spotify, and other networks. At one point in time, I had to do this and survive. I'll let you guys listen to this. So, this song Survive really speaks to resonate. Because I went from a pain in my soul. I want you guys to hear this next song. I want you guys to hear the song called Pain in My Soul. I love this song because at a point in time, that song actually spoke a lot of volumes for me. I had to a level of pain in my soul that I felt when my life went upside down, and a level of self-love that I had to go back to and go into the self. I had to get to a point that all the pain in my soul had to come out. I had to cry. I had to get past everything that was going on, past and present. I had to sit there and actually realize that the pain was deep in my soul. He wrote another song, which I call Pain in My Soul, on here that I found. I want you guys to listen to it. And this song actually made me cry and made me start to look into what I need to do in the footwork and the groundwork to get the help and asked for help to go and work with me on emotional damages, the emotional degradation of my life, and to go and learn how to communicate effectively, because what I had was reactivity syndrome. And levels and layers of people saw me breaking down online, saw me angry, saw me upset, saw me in the moments of grief, stages of grief. But I want you guys to listen to this song because it means a lot to me. And when I say whether I talk to him ever again or not, I thank him for being in my life at that time. This song is so beautiful. I want you guys to listen to the song on Holy Child, and I want you guys to hear this song. It means so much to me, and I hope I don't cry while we're alive. But this song meant a lot to me when he wrote it. I think he should be a writer for music for the film industry and music industry and things. He's so good at it. Many times I had to wipe the tears from my eyes. I want you guys to hear this song and how beautiful it is so I can finish up this live. I want you guys to hear this artist. Music is where the heart speaks. Music has helped me, and hip-hop has helped me to have a level of music therapy. When I went through a level of emotional abuse, torment, gaslighting, provoking, bullying, harassment online, to be able to listen to songs like this, like Pain in My Soul, and survive. Because at that point in time, I was so angry and so upset and so broken mentally to where I didn't know if I was going or coming. I tried not to cry when I was listening to this because those words that the girl was singing, Kate Francis, she's amazing. She's a great singer in the UK. I literally had to get to a point of emotional standing and self-love, meditation, prayer, levels of changing my diet, getting up. Because that white boy, and it's not white or black, it's not linear, I'm mixed white and black, but I took on black color. When I tell you how hard it was to come back from all the torment, the embarrassment, the emotional abuse, the terrorism, being scared, angry, upset, and grieving at the same time, there's no way I could have responded any other way than I did. While watching Roy D and how he conducts himself, interviews, and does all kind of different things, it inspired me to get up, like he told me, get up. Get up. We'll be okay. I might be mad as hell with him because of what somebody else did, but it's hurting in the right place. Because I was depressed. I didn't think of killing myself. None of that, because I'm not that type of person. But people told me to do so. People were saying so much awful stuff, so I have no idea. In the 2 years that I was on Twitter, because I moved from Facebook because they were doing the same thing. I met Roy D. As a hot mess. A hot mess from years of damage, psychological, emotional. I found something online on YouTube that it around stuff 13, 14 years ago. Came across it, and it was like a key unlocked in my mind. To be okay being in mental health. Intervention, therapy, or my grief, PTSD, and trauma. Because Babette, I would love to throw my hands around her neck and tell her, thank you so much. I don't know you for a grain of salt. But thank you for unlocking the key of my mind that otherwise was broken. You put that missing puzzle piece back together to help me to realize that I can't help myself right now because I don't know how. I went back. I was adamant about getting my appointment 2017, 2018 because they were making it hard as they possibly could. The center turned into a specialty center. They started getting what they call specialists on board. And I started working with my specialist. Inspired me to continue on to psychiatry, psychology, something I'm destined and born and bred to do. A long time ago, somebody said you should be a doctor. I didn't realize what they're saying. That is my gift. That is my calling, medicine. My gift is being a light speaker, light worker, a healer. I've been running away from my gifts so long because my life altered the series of events that I should have already been doing. But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing necessarily. I'm stronger. I'm wiser. I'm less weaker. Because other people want me to be weak because my light shines so bright. And that's the light I was born with. The demon that I was programmed with. So when I met Rosie, I'm going to be mad. No, right now, because my feelings are hurt. And I'm angry that other people I knew went over there and talked to him and told him things they had no business doing. I would have talked to him and told him the truth. Because you don't go lying to people you plan on working with. You don't go lying to people about yourself. But some things I didn't want to talk about because I don't live there anymore. When I was able to effectively communicate with him without wanting to cut him out, because it's not really his fault, I was able to tell him I was humiliated, I was embarrassed. I just want to talk to you right now. But the thing is, I'm still supportive in his career. I'll forever be a fan of it. I don't have to talk to him again. I'll forever be his number one fan. I told him, I want to see you be great. I want to see you expand to China, the UK, everywhere in America. I want to see you do your thing that you're born to do, music management, and the brilliance that you have. There's another guy who does rock music, David Rockstyle. He's an expert. I don't think they're related. But he has a soundtrack that's so deep and so cool that he should be doing the rock music soundtracks for the industry. Worzy should be writing music. The one song he has, Friedalina, Anything, that is a beautiful soundtrack that should be on a motion picture film. And I'm hoping someday somebody will go and contract with Worzy to do that. I'm speaking that law of attraction into existence for him. That's what people who really support someone will do. As much as, I've dragged his ass for Phil. I'm number one fan of his. I still support him over here, over there. Because I want to see him fly. I want to see him be successful. Part of this After Dark is for you guys to understand what true cheer support is even if I'm mad as hell with you, I still support you from over here. I'm not your competition. I'm not in competition with you. I just want to see you do great and do good and do well in life. Whatever happened in the past, I let that go. But I want you to be successful. That's why I did this Unpack After Dark. I want you guys to know the real him, not who he's supposed to be. I want you guys to know that through yoga, exercise, meditation, and a lot of things that we're going to talk about tomorrow is what helped me become a lot more resilient. Reading uplifting material, social media detoxing, getting offline, and just detoxing from a bunch of unnecessary information. A lot of stuff is toxic. Addressing those that were toxic towards me and letting it be known that I didn't like it and I don't appreciate it. And rebuilding. There's some people who are adamant about tearing me down because I debunked all their lives, including what they did to my favorite white boy from another mother, although I'm mixed black and white and identify as black. So that lets you guys know it's not linear and it's not black and white. That's why I have the journal. Everything's not always black and white. Sometimes it's gray in between. So maybe my legacy and everything came full circle later on in life. But the truth set me free. The truth helped me to begin to heal. I didn't want to face everything for 30 plus years. I didn't want to face what had happened to me. I didn't want to face the childhood trauma of being adopted. I didn't want to face the childhood trauma of being raped at 16. I didn't want to face the trauma of not getting adequate interventions and the forensic work that should have been done so that I could be whole and complete earlier in life. I'm late in life becoming complete. I know who I am. I'm no longer who I was because that girl's not who I was. This is who I am. It's been a journey, and it still is. Hopefully you guys get to see more of these lives like this. Hopefully you'll see my favorite white boy from another mother be successful. Hopefully you'll see this black girl mixed with white. This makes she be very successful. But I understand black and white, but things are not always black and white. I hope you guys go to my Etsy, situationship, and start purchasing those different things. I hope you guys start going to fashionistasuprenable.com, seeing the new things on there. I hope you guys start going to my Facebook. I hope you guys could start going to my actual levels and depths of my Twitter. And when I go and change over my account to a marketing account and start promoting my stuff, I hope you start buying it online. I welcome you guys to see me as a life coach in my best light, not the light that people want to shed on me. I'm hoping this After Dark Self-Love seminar helps you all become a level of self-love. So when we go into Module 3 and we talk about this level of purification, part of that is telling the truth and shame the devil. Then on top of that, building self-love. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. That's the end of this live. It's 48 minutes and 4 seconds, correction. I want you guys to understand that this is healing for me to do. It's healing for me to be able to come clean, come forward, and begin to move forward. Whether I see Mr. Rothschild again or not, I thank you, sir. I thank you for coming to my life and teaching me lessons. I thank you for being what I would call an inspiration and mentor. I appreciate you. May God bless you in your endeavors and in your life journey and in your growth and your life. Take you guys out of here. And I hope that you guys attend more lives. I thank you for making my life safe today. I thank all of you are being respectful and mindful of what I'm trying to do, and that's rebrand with Don Diva Coaching. I am CC Coaching, Team Online, Destination Motivation. Get up and do something. And thank you for those that are all on the live, calling in live at 515-602-9765 leaving messages. The Cash App Love offerings are accepted at $I am CC Coaching, $Don Diva Coaching, $Team World Online, Top Radio Diva, with Top Radio Diva CC. The power to do more. Log on to topradiodiva.com. You can get the QR code to be able to go and do your donations there and put a love note on there and let me know where it's going towards and what business you're going to help to expand. I do appreciate all of you for tuning this live. So let me remove myself. I'll give you a couple of different things in advertisements, and I'm going to move on to what I need to do tonight, and that's self-care and self-love. That's an act of love part. Take care, everybody. Also, text us at 866-767-9323. It's international, or our local line, which is 404-418-5114. And then on top of that, please make sure that you all understand how important it is to continue the level of professionalism and allow me to present as such and not continue this level of battles of provoke, gaslight, emotional abuse, and torment that's gone on. I do not appreciate it, and I will be separated from those that have done it. And that means that there's a level of self-love and boundaries that are put forth. Everybody have a nice day. All right, the power to do more.